Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. My name is Jean Williams. I'm your Program Quality Director for District 115, which is Southern Nevada and a little piece of Utah. And this is my co-host, Jean Dunford. Hi, Jean. He's me.
Jean says hello. I can see him trying to find the mute.
I am on two computers at the same time and two screens and doing Facebook. And she asked me a question. I am doing fine. Thanks for joining us on Wake Up with Toastmasters.
And our guest today is Carol Wayman. Hi, Carol. How are you?
I'm great, Jean and Jean. Thanks for inviting me.
And you are the almost outgoing president of Lambda Linguists.
Almost outgoing, just till the end of the month.
So Lambda Linguists, let's tell us a little, for those of you who have not yet met you yet, tell us a little bit about the club, when it meets, where it meets, and everything.
Sure, I'm glad to. So Lambda Linguists is a club that's affiliated with the Lambda Business Association and the LGBT Center, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Community Center in Las Vegas. And we've been a club that's been around for a while. We've got about 10 members or so, and we meet every first and third Mondays online on Zoom, at least for now, at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Oh, very good. And so what are your feelings that you're almost out of office?
Yeah, I've been president of a number of different clubs, and one thing I really like about Lambda is that it's a very diverse club. It has really committed members. So I'm actually president of U.S. Senate Toastmasters here in Washington, D.C., where I live, but then also Lambda. And with Lambda, it's just everybody signs up. There's lots of people giving speeches. We have really strong Toastmasters with lots of expertise. So we have really helpful and useful and supportive evaluations. Our members compete very well in the different contests. And we always have really thoughtful table topics. So I encourage everybody to come. It's open to everybody.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I know several of your members, and it seems like, I mean, the people I know in your group are fun. So I know it's going to be a fun group. So what office are you taking in the incoming year, or are you taking a little reprieve?
We have to decide that. We're actually meeting tonight at 6 o'clock, and that will be one of the things we talk about is who's going to be the new officers. I'm kind of interested in VP of PR. One of the things I've tried to do is build membership. I know that's something all the clubs all around the world are struggling with, and because of COVID and going online, and some people really only want to meet in person, but then we've also gotten lots of new members because it's online. Like obviously if it was an in-person club, I would never be able to join Lambda because I live in DC. Right. And then in the Senate Club, we have a lot of members from all over the country because they can join online. And for us in the Senate, once the US Senate opens to visitors, then we will be a hybrid club. But until that day, we're not. But Lambda, we will have to pick some new officers tonight. And luckily, we have lots of very active members, so that shouldn't be that difficult.
Well, luckily, right after you pick your members, they can all go to early bird training if they're repeating an office they're in. And that's this Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific or 5 p.m. Pacific.
I've gone to various district trainings, and I just love the trainings in District 115. They're very thoughtful. They're energetic. They really help you. Like as any officer or any member of a club, there's challenges. And I think you all really help people think through, how do I build mentorship when I have just a very small number of members? Mm-hmm. How do I have an active mentorship program, for example?
Yeah. Well, thanks. Thank you. You mentioned one thing that I want to go back to. It's the some people prefer to meet online, and they joined while it was meeting online. And I think we're kind of missing the boat for the younger group. I hate the term millennial in the group right after them. And my kids are 19 and 20. And I mentioned to them Toastmasters, way before the pandemic. And they said, well, why would I want to do that? I could just watch a YouTube video, okay. And the other one said, leave the house, as if I've caged these children in their whole lives, But I think that, I'm noticing the younger and younger people that are joining, they're perfectly fine with things being online. I think some of us old fogies that say, I can't wait till we're back in person. But I think there's pluses and minuses to both.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see as the biggest plus, of course, other than distance? What do you see as the biggest plus for the virtual?
I think, especially for Senate staffers on my Senate side, that plus is it's easier to get there. Like things are always happening and you're just like, oh no, I plan to be at this meeting at noon and now I have to draft this speech for my boss or something. Mm-hmm. So it's just easier to have a backup. As if I could go in person, I would, but if I can't, I can just log on. And then I also think with the Lambda Club, it's if you get stuck at work, right? Our clubs are at 6 and sometimes people are home and sometimes they're at work and sometimes they're actually driving home from work. So they'll like sort of have it up and they're not participating, they're just listening. But it's a way that they can connect. And, in Lambda, we have, I'm not the only member from outside of Las Vegas. We do have another member from the northern part of Nevada, and she's great. And we wouldn't be able to have her if it wasn't online. Yeah. And I do think for younger people who are trying to build their career, this whole new way of presenting online is going to be part of your career. You're going to have to speak at webinars. You're going to have to monitor internal meetings. And Toastmasters gives you practice at doing that skill. I mean, we have members in one of my clubs that joined just to work on public speaking and then got a promotion, and it's now saying I have to run these webinars online and I need to be toast leader of the day like all the time, so I get much more comfortable at this skill. Yeah. And then I also know for younger people, when I provide references for a lot of folks looking for jobs, and one of the questions their person checking the references will say is, well, how does this person present? What's their public speaking skills? And it's so much easier to say, well, such and such spoke at our conference and we actually spoke at our meeting, and here is a link to their presentation. You can watch for yourself. We recorded it. It's up on our page. Nice. You can see them. And it just really helps. It helps the person add that skill to their resume with a link to something that a potential evaluator can look at.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of fun with my office. I was in the same work group for 12 years and I never met my entire work group in person, because I had like 2 in Utah and 1 in Idaho and 1 in Montana and a couple in Colorado. And, I was with the Internal Revenue Service, funding. So we'd have conference calls every single week, and we never got to the visual calls we had, but with Skype, it was always audio calls or conference calls. And it is a different skill set. And I think if we had Zoom, it would, adding the visual would have been that much more difficult. And so I think teaching these skills now, especially if you're in a job that has remote meetings and such, they're just part of the job. Not every group meets in person anymore.
And Gina, I wanted to congratulate you on being the new incoming district director, and just wondered, what you're thinking about for the district and how you're going to be representing the district to Toastmasters International. It's such a wonderful honor, and thank you so much for stepping up.
Oh, thank you. I do, as I said, first of all, I want our area directors, of course, to step right above the clubs. I want the area directors to know how truly special and truly important they are. Because a good area director that cares about their club and visits their club and is accessible to their club can help a club succeed and flourish. And a club just left abandoned, can be bad too if they don't have experienced members in the group, and not all of them do. And then also coming from corporate background, where I was always in corporate clubs, government IRS clubs, I'm just used to that. But the hard part about that is you join all at once, you start progressing all at once. And then there's not that diversity of experience in your members. And I think having that, so I can tell companies, this is the good and the bad. And then if we look at companies that might want Toastmaster clubs, then that's even more to be able to offer the Zoom package or in person or hybrid. We're getting much, much better hybrid in teaching that. We're going to continue enrichment night, which is nice. That's every second Saturday of every month. We're going to continue Wake Up with Toastmasters, which is nice too. We're going to continue game night, which is a lot of fun.
I love game night.
And then Ken Richardson is taking over training. He's just right away has all sorts of great ideas of things to do and ways to do it, like breaking up the district officer training into monthly segments instead of like long 8 or 9 hour days. It's I want to bring back, we for a while had a club support team, And it didn't really disappear. We just kind of fell back to regroup to make it bigger for the district. And what it is for those clubs that have 10 or fewer active members that are coming to meetings. And so you might have 4 or 5 people coming to meetings and everybody's doing 2 roles. Then a guest comes in and a guest sees everybody doing 2 or 3 roles and says, well, that seems like a lot of fun, but I would really scared I can't do all that, and they don't come back. So the club support team is meant to bring in people to fill those extra roles and let people see what a full meeting would look like. So then they go, oh, okay, so when I join, I would have the 1 role. And then as our club gets bigger, I would just have 1 role to do each meeting, or maybe none. And we can say, yes, this is what it's supposed to be. So we're trying to get that really stood up solid now. That's one of my goals, is to get that back on track, because it does help the clubs that are struggling. When you get a club with 4 or 5 members, and you see one person that's the Toastmaster and the grammarian and the Toastmaster and the general evaluator and the joke master, and they've done the educational moment, and then another person does general evaluator and 1 speech evaluation, and it just gets sort of crazy if you've never been in a Toastmaster meeting before, ever. And you walk in and you're just in this, I've heard people say, oh yeah, that I really want to be here, but no, it's just because it's too small of a group they're seeing. So that's why the club support team steps in. So we're really working hard on getting that completely stood up as soon as possible.
Yeah, I had signed up to be part of the club support team just to show up, because I know like Rebecca is from Storytellers, sometimes comes to my Senate club, where although we have 20 members, it's very sporadic and most of them are new. So when she shows up, I always ask her to evaluate, and she always agrees, and she does a great job. It sort of helps, and that's helped us build membership by folks saying, oh, there's like really good evaluators here. And I know that's been helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does help. And we had one club that goes down to like 1 member, and he said, I just don't want to let it go. And so we came in, that's where the club supporting was invented a couple of years ago, and brought in people who were really happy to volunteer and real happy to help. And it was nice to see those extra faces. And then guests would come in, and when it came time to elect officers, they're electing one of the club support team. We said, no, he says, I'm here to help. Oh, that's so wonderful. You came to help our club. So I think most people see the benefit to it. But yeah, it does help. Or clubs that are brand new. I mean, we do that the same thing right now with the mentor. A new club is assigned a mentor, and that's the person that's there for the first 6 months, hopefully longer, that helps a brand new club get formed and get everything going. So it's the same sort of thing we're doing. So that's one of the goals. So it's just a lot of things.
And as a district director, how much do you interact with Toastmasters International? Is that like a monthly call, or?
Well, I know that what I know of so far, I'm learning as really quick as I go. We do have a monthly peer call with our regional advisors. So they do tell us things that are going on, and then they have peers. And then of course we have access to email different departments. It was kind of funny. I got an email from one of our regional advisors. I think it was late, and I think she answered very quickly. And she said, if I have any questions, contact this person, and here's the email address. And it was like Susie at Toadmasters, TOAD Masters. And I thought, so I wrote her back. I wanted it. I should have said it was very riveting of an idea, but I thought, no, I was polite. I said, oh, I know you met Toastmasters. And she said, that's what I get for trying to do this late on my phone. So no, but there are all the different email addresses. And I noticed, like, even becoming program quality director, the emails get answered a little quicker. So there is that. Yeah. Right. So good. But as far as actually, I don't know. I've not had any. Well, we will go to training in Nashville. We will have that, and then I'll know a whole lot more. But that'll be in the middle of August. So I do have a mentor now, and then I'm working with our incoming trio. So we're trying to get things in a rhythm. We're adding a new person. Ken and I have been working together because he's been Club Growth. Ken Richardson. You see him here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and now we have Scott Tranza, who's our new person. He was in Toastmasters in New York. He's come here and gone up, and now he's our new Club Growth director. He's just got a lot of great ideas and a great sense of humor, so I think we'll be good with him too.
Yeah, I definitely agree about the area directors. I know Z Zolny has been our area director for Lambda, and it's great when he comes, and he's always able to fill a role. So even sometimes I will be evaluating in grammarian and word of the day and timer, and it's just like, okay, that's too much, and I'm not going to do that again because that's just too much. But when Z is there, usually he's always happy to play a role, which is wonderful. And it is, for Lambda, we've had special speakers. So we had Samantha Smith, who was a semi-finalist at the International Speech Contest. And she came and gave her, not just her presentation, her speech, which was powerful, but then the Q&A was really insightful. Like, we just learned a lot about what it's like to compete at that level. And for Samantha and some other Toastmasters, they really want to be paid professional speakers. Like, that's part of their goal. Yeah. And that's the goal as well. If you win, then these riches befall you, and you start getting these contracts. And Samantha said, you know, she didn't win. She didn't make the finals, but being a unique and powerful voice got her all sorts of contracts that she wouldn't have had otherwise, and lots of interest from universities and colleges. And just that interaction, just learning about, well, what happens after you give a speech like that? Like, you know, now in Zoom, you give a speech in your kitchen and then you're done, and then you never hear about anything, and it's weird. But so to have that follow-up was just wonderful. It's like how not just the speech from Samantha changed her life, but how it spoke to a lot of us in the LGBT community. I'm seeing that message on an international stage.
Yeah, I think anybody who makes it to the top 7 or top 8, however they divide it up, the final little clump of people, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 9, but that last little group just being heard again. Now, sometimes people haven't heard their first speech that got them to that final stage. They might have only heard the final speech, but just having that, a lot of people, I know there's one from our district that came in 3rd and had a very lucrative paid career, and others that just didn't even place, but getting heard at that final level.
Yeah, she was semifinal, but yeah, Nite's speech is amazing. From I think storytellers or jackpot speakers who got to the finals. Yeah, I think it was runner-up. Yeah, really amazing speech.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, we've done the contest season here, and you know, you see the person at club level, and then they get to area level, and then pretty soon the people are making it to division level. The speeches are tighter and better and better presented. Not necessarily the content, but the presentation and the content. It's got to be a good mix. Then you get the district level, and then all of a sudden I was asked to judge last year one of the region quarterfinals, and it was interesting. It was very different to me. It was, of course, on Zoom, and they had viewing rooms on Zoom, which I didn't know existed, where each person is in a room to watch, but nobody can see anybody else. So you don't get to see anybody's name or not even know how many people are there. You're just, all you can see is you can hear the announcer, you can see the person who's speaking. So I judged that. My first, second, and third choice was not what their first, second, and third choice was, but it was interesting to judge. And then see the one person that did win, my little group, at the world stage, and the speech that much more difficult to get there.
Because one of the things we've talked about is like and we debate this all the time in Lambda, is what is a Toastmaster speech, right? And I'm of the position that a Toastmaster speech is anything that's a pathway speech. And it should be, you know, is it a project, and is it relevant? And I kind of have, if this person sat next to me at a dinner party and shared this story, would I be rapt and interested, or would I be like, not particularly interested in this? Yeah. You know, this sort of seems like more therapy or more, you know, I mean, some bad things happened in your life when you were a child, you're resilient, and you want us all to be resilient. Got it. And I get it. Like, that's the classic Toastmasters, you know, thing. And other people, you know, and obviously that's what works, because you'll get to your finals and almost all the speeches are speeches of resilience in face of personal adversity, and sort of pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move on and look towards the future. Yeah. And I'd like to see I'm more interested in hearing speeches that sort of move beyond platitudes and sort of show me a new way to look at something or new views of the world. And that's one thing I like about Lambda is these are unique stories that you don't hear every day.
Yeah, I think you're right. The formula tends to be, the saying is make them laugh, make them cry, 5 to 7 say goodbye. And have a takeaway, have your 5 to 7 minute speech and it's something about you and how you overcame something and then have a takeaway. But I do think, years ago when I was competing in the Tall Tales, the woman competing in the international, that we moved along together. And her speeches, 2 years in a row, we both competed in. Her speeches had this like punch to them, just this power to them, and this raw vulnerability. It wasn't like, oh, I was unhappy and someone made me happy and now you should be happy. It was just like this tragedy that she had overcome. And without going into a lot of details, it involved just some very sensitive topics. Mm-hmm. And she was just very talking about this and then talking about how this was something that should not happen to a girl. Mm-hmm. In her home, in her own home. Okay. And then the steps she took and the progress she made. And it was just this very powerful, moving, raw speech that at the end, she's not all better. Oh, somebody gave me $1 bill and I'm all better. It was I'm still struggling with this, but this is what you can do in your life, take advantage of this. And so it's not the same formula, but it had that more emotional impact. And I think that's one thing I got out of Samantha's speech too, was that it had a lot more emotional impact. She was in a lot more vulnerable spot than I was down to my last $5 and somebody gave me $5 to put in my tank. I was like, okay, that's nice. I'm not saying the speeches aren't good, but there's some of them that are just, they become a little more lightweight now. I've noticed just a little more fluffy. And I think the ones that are more hard hitting tend to be coming in second and third, which disappoints me. The one on racism a while back, that was a good one. Yeah. And but same kind of thing. She didn't win first place, and I shouldn't. I mean, I think like I think the one we have forwarding from District 115, I think she's a good, strong contender because her speech has that punch to it. We're getting the speeches back with a little more power to them. So I'm glad of that. But I'm really, like, I want her to win because she's ours, but it's also a really good speech too. So I'm looking forward to seeing her and how she does. But the other part of it is, and this is the tough part, they could win with this really powerful speech and make it to the world stage. Then they have to have a different speech at the world stage. And that happened a couple of years ago. Our contestant had a good speech, She made it to the world stage. The speech she chose for that was very weak. It was okay, but it wasn't, I think she had not had enough time to develop it the way she should have. So she's talking about something and I'm thinking that she's her age, but she's recounting something when she was in her teens, but she didn't make that clear. So I'm listening to this thinking, but you should have known better. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I didn't know you were in your teens when you didn't know better. But if they're not ready with that second speech, and it's hard to get that first speech just perfect and then prepare for speech you may never get to give, because they're using your video to judge in the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And then it's in the finals that you're using the new speech. So it would be hard if somebody says, oh, prepare a really fantastic speech, but you may never get to give it. But don't let that bother you. It would be tough. So I do understand sometimes they wait to see if they've won, but then it's too late because they might, I guess the way the timeline works is they might be told, okay, you won. Well, especially with the virtual world now, and in a week and a half, have this one ready. Now with Nashville and having to make reservations and everything else, I assume they would need to let them know soon so they could get there in time and get everything arranged in time. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Are you going to have a chance to go to Nashville, or are you not this year?
I have to look. Or I assume you're going, and Jean Dunford, are you going as well?
I don't know if Jean's going.
I'm not sure if my finances will handle the $2,000 it's going to cost. I think I might stay home and babysit the dogs.
Okay.
Well, he does great. He watches my kids too. So
That's nice.
he's wonderful. Yeah.
I've never been to an international speech, an international
Wait,
Toastmasters
can I get that in
convention.
writing? He's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I heard it too. You're wonderful.
You have a recording. You can walk around with the recording. Well, I've not been to even though they had two in Vegas, I've not been to an international conference either. So that's
Your first time.
It'll be the first. And I guess they'll have us over in training and excuse me, Jean, are you?
I have a question.
Oh,
Carol, I noticed you're putting a lot of YouTube videos from the meeting. Do you guys tape every speaker?
No, we don't. We just tape special speakers.
Oh, that's really cool. I think that more clubs should do that and then put the speeches on Facebook. It would be a great advertisement for the club.
Yeah, we've been putting, this is on the Senate Club. We haven't set this up for the Lambda Club. But the 2 of the 3 speeches I posted were Lambda affiliate, were at a Lambda meeting. So we tape them and then we link them from our homepage or our Facebook for the US Senate Club.
can you take the information out of the chat and put it into the Facebook page, Jean?
Oh, I didn't, that's right.
That is already done.
Oh,
Jean, thank you.
That's what Jean's here for.
The technical part. Thanks, Jean.
I look forward to going to the conference, but I guess there'll be times where I'm just over in training. I don't know what everybody else will be doing at that time. So it's probably something really fun. And then we're also interviewing the international directors. And for the last 2 years, I did get to do that. So this is what I've learned, and I can tell you this part. People run for international director, and those people make up the board, which makes the decisions for Toastmasters. But we as district, the trio, as they call it, the district director, the program quality director, and the club growth director, we interview them, and then we tell the clubs, this is what we saw, this is what we think. We share that information so the clubs then can decide how they want their ballots cast and for which international directors. And I thought, okay, well, we'll just interview the ones from our region because we're in region 2. No, we get to interview all of them. And you get a half-hour time, and it's been on Zoom, which I love that they're doing it on Zoom. But it's also a little bit overwhelming at times, just going interview to interview to interview to interview. And in a 1-week period, we managed to get, I think it was like 30 people interviewed, and you're taking notes and trying to remember all of them. And it's a little tough. And in some regions, there were like 3, maybe even 4 really strong contenders. Then another region might be 1 person. And, and you're kind of like, can I just move them around? Like, no, you can't move them around. But we actually are lucky that we will be on this show interviewing on Wake Up with Toastmasters, where we get a chance to interview our region international director candidates from region 2. So we had to go through a lot of permissions and so the caveats are that they can't just be invited. They have to both agree to come on the same show. We have to ask them the same questions, and it cannot be a member of the trio or district leader that interviews them. So it's just a whole lot of caveats, but we're hoping to get them in real soon so we can, and maybe a second time, the first time just to get to know them, and there's 2 of them, and the second time perhaps to ask them about their platform and how they want to change Toastmasters. So we're excited about that, but I finally got both of them saying yes, and now I just have to set the time and the date, and we'll have to have Phyllis Tribby will interview them because she is not a current district leader. Okay. So that'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to it on a Tuesday or a Thursday. So, or we might have to, if we have to move her to a different day, but I'm looking forward to having them both on there. And it'll be, go ahead.
One of the things that we've asked from Toastmasters International is to include sexual orientation and gender identity in the non-discrimination statement for judges for contests, because that's not in there.
Oh.
And so supposedly it's been promised, but it was not in the latest Toastmasters contests. And so we have had, as Samantha talks about, we have had people say discriminatory things against LGBT contestants, and that shouldn't be in Toastmasters. That should be a place where everybody's welcome. And so that is one thing where we like from Toastmasters International.
I thought that I was not aware of that. I thought that as a nonprofit that they had to follow the federal government guidelines, which do include the sexual orientation as a
No.
protected group.
Oh, no, not at all. No, the sexual orientation is in Toastmasters International, not gender identity, but in and in Margaret Page's resignation in the statement about that, it did say sexual orientation in there, but then it was not in the contest judges form.
Oh.
And we've been trying to get that added for a number of years, and then supposedly it's going to be added for this new year, but I haven't seen that.
Oh.
And so and I know that that's been one issue for some members of the LGBT community who, don't want to participate as area directors or even some members, or some are willing to be members, but not in the broader Toastmaster world until that's addressed.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't even aware of that. I know, like I said, I having worked for the IRS, I know that any nonprofit has to follow the federal guidelines, and federal guidelines say sexual orientation. They don't use gender identity, but they do use sexual orientation.
No, so they don't.
You're talking about the specific form for the judges where they're judging the contest.
The judges contest form for the international contest, or the evaluation or table topics. And even in but I'm really thrilled to join you today, and thank you so much for serving as the incoming District 115 director. And Jean, thanks as always for running this. It's very early for you all, and it's such a commitment, but it's got a lot of wonderful interviews. So
thank you.
It gets me out of bed in the morning. Otherwise, I'd probably sleep till noon.
And the dogs.
Right. Well, Jean always tells me, well, comb the front of your hair, put on a shirt, you'll be fine. Because there's those people that no matter what time of day, it's going to be too early. It could be 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, that's just so early. So but thanks for coming in. Thanks for mentioning the. I'm sorry, Jean. I gotta do it. I'll let you say something else in a second. I am going to keep that in mind, Carol, when we start to talk about the international directors. And thank you for bringing that to my attention. What did you want to say, Jean?
The great thing about our show is it's recorded and it's forever on the district page. If you want to go back to the very first show, see how terrible we were and how much more improved we are now, you can go back, you can watch that first show, or you can watch the second show, but they're all on there. Our bloopers. The only thing missing is one show that we never found. There's a missing show and nobody would bring it back to us.
We're certain that somewhere in the Gobi Desert, somebody's going, what is that? I think that's a lost episode of Wake Up with Toastmasters. We're sure of it. It just got lost somewhere out there. I think one of our interns ran off with it. But it's past time. Thank you very much, Carol, for coming. Lambda Linguist, first and third Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, and that one, come and visit that one. We'll have the link and everything in our comments for today, so you can link into that tonight. See that hopefully, and we will see you hopefully soon. But thank you again for coming today. And thanks, everybody. We'll see all of you tomorrow on Ken Richardson and Phyllis Tribby. We'll see all of you tomorrow on Wake Up with Toastmasters. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.